I'm starting that stream, so it should pop up right here, and then we should be able to see it. Now, the other thing would be, do you know what I mean when I say, like, to have your live go to your front page of your YouTube?
I don't.
So, like, if you don't set it up that way, it just is in the live tab.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna set that up real
Please
quick
do.
just while we're doing this. But it is connected. So now if you guys check on your phones, it should, whatever, you should be able to see it. Hopefully. So now I'm going to your channel. There we go. There's the live. So that's good.
So does anybody else need to do anything? No.
No.
Are you asking if I need to go potty? I was a little bit of a man-child.
Make sure you go potty before we start the show.
Pee-pee in the potty.
I don't want to have to pull over the car.
All right, so now I'll show you this real quick. Just the live now. So I added this live now list.
Okay.
So now it'll be like, so first thing when people come to your page now, it'll be like right first, like there.
Cool.
So, okay. So now
Okay.
we are good. So I'm going to start the music. And hey, everybody, thanks for bearing with us. Javae and Rachel are incompetent, unfortunately. No, we had some technical difficulties all on my end, but so we'll be starting here in about 20 seconds. But we want to invite everyone to please comment below the video. We'd love to hear what you guys think and what you want to talk about. And just be warned, your comments will be on screen.
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
So keep it sweet.
Keep it sweet.
Keep it sweet.
I like that.
All right, guys.
it
So
classy.
you can take it away in about 15 seconds.
Why do I feel nervous again? It's like a
You
restart.
got re-nervous?
I know.
Is that a thing?
You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Okay,
You know what it
you
is?
check in first this time.
I'm always I'm somebody who like gets nervous. Even sometimes I'll get nervous before sessions, and then as soon as I start, I'm on.
I was just going to
Oh,
ask
yeah.
you that. If you guys ever get nervous before sessions.
I don't know if I get
We do different work though,
Okay.
but
I get this is gonna sound bad. I don't know how like the word for it, but it's like I just don't want to do this. And then
Dread.
like, dread.
I get dread before sessions too. But
But mostly because it's like, oh, like is this gonna? Maybe it is a little bit of anxiousness, but then I get in the chair and like the person's in front of me and it just like comes back to me and then I'm
Right.
fine. And I'm usually good.
How do you guys do different, like, what is the difference, if you say, or if you,
so we do different. So I work inpatient on the psychiatric unit at the adolescent psych ward, and I'm a family therapist.
And-
so sometimes I get dread because I work with a lot of parents who don't want their kids and those kinds of things. So
my lady friend worked at it.
Lady friend.
Yeah, with, a lot of that
yeah.
disturbed child
Yep.
stuff that's very hard to hear. So yeah, so that's great. That's cool that you do that.
Thank you. Yeah. I wish I could say I'm altruistic, but it pays the most with the least amount of clients, and I
Literally.
like the work.
Everybody
So
wants
it's like-
to do
it's a-
hospital work because it pays. the
Nobody
best.
wants to do it. Cap.
In theory, I think
In theory.
people think they want to. That's true.
Yeah.
And then I do outpatient work at a private practice,
black owned.
black-owned private practice.
And she put interracial on one of the things that she'll treat, and so now literally all
I
she
get all
gets
the
is
mixies.
mixed girls who are sad about their white moms.
Sad about their white mom.
You're like, you gotta take that off. You're gonna only do interracial.
Literally, my intake person was like, "So there's an interracial girl," and I was like, "Give her to me. I need to get my caseload up
I
anyway."
want to talk to you more about that. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
All right, so we are ready whenever you guys are.
We're ready.
All right,
Okay.
let's go.
We back. We back.
We back.
Hi. Welcome to Therapy Rebranded. We're consistently inconsistent.
Dang.
That was a whack ding. Do it again.
Ding.
Hi. Welcome to Therapy Rebranded. We're consistently inconsistent.
Ding.
Ding.
Ding, bitch.
We're here. We're amped. We're in our new studio. We got our producer, Gabe, watching the chat. So,
Hello, madams.
hello.
Oh, madams.
Formal.
I couldn't
Madame.
think anymore.
Mrs.
And then lady friend, too. We're subbing into 1950.
I swear it was girlfriend the last time we
it
saw
was
him.
girlfriend. She's stunning.
She is stunning.
I would claim her, too.
I would claim her too.
So, yeah, we're in our new studio. We're doing our first live. We're working through
excited.
technical difficulties, but here we are.
We're excited.
We're pumped.
We're pumped.
We're the best.
And I have my fidget with me just because we're a little nervous too.
Yeah. You're modeling coping skills.
Modeling coping skills. Duh.
You never reach the pinnacle of healing. Isn't
Ever.
that what they say?
My clients hate when I say that. Anyways, how are you doing?
That's how I'm doing.
Oh.
I'm okay. So we actually had a third therapist start at our job. And so I even have not less work, the same amount of work. Because, when someone is new, you have to be receptive to them to help them figure it out, which is totally fine.
You'd be nice.
But so I've just kind of been leaning into being exhausted, which hasn't been the worst. Like when everyone's fighting for work, I'm like, yeah, take it. Y'all can have it. I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm going to sit at home and read over case files and work on my podcast.
I have a question that do they care how many clients you have?
We are supposed to have 20 client hours a week, and I have never had that.
Nice.
They do not care how many clients we have, but the trade-off to that is that, because I'm not fully busy, if someone came to me and was like, hey, you need to work this program for a couple weeks, I would have to do it.
Yeah.
So someone was like, you have to fill in at this partial hospitalization, or you have to fill in somewhere else in the hospital, I would have to do it.
Yeah.
Because, they're paying me to do less than everybody else. Yeah. In theory, we're going to have enough clients where it won't matter, but that's just, where we're at.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How am I doing? So, I am doing okay. I've decided to use my work supervision for valuable things, too. I used to kind of just show up and bullshit.
Okay.
But I'm going to do personal work. And also that supervisor is no longer, I'm not, working directly under her. So, it isn't, I can go into work and be I'm stressed out and not talk around the fact that you're the one that's stressing me out.
You're stressing me out, bitch.
Yeah. So it's been really nice.
That's so nice to be able to have that relationship.
It's very nice. And I have 2 of them now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I've been working on my inner pick-me in session. The first couple of years.
Whatever I thought, those are never words I thought you would ever say.
Because I'm not a pick-me with men.
Yeah, that's true.
But I love when a client loves me. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, it feels so good.
Yeah. And the first couple of years of therapy, I was like, oh my God, everyone just loves me because I'm exceptional and I'm just so great. But then I realized, okay, maybe there's a thing to this. Everybody's over-attached. To the point.
Why do they like me so much?
Why do they like me so much? Why are they refusing to talk to other people without me there? This is not feeling normal.
No.
Literally people are like,
I want Javae.
yes, calling doctors and being like, I'm not going to have this conversation unless Javae's there. That's not normal. So then I was like, I'm actually acknowledging that to myself. That's a little weird. And so I went into supervision and I was kind of just help me process this. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I feel like I'm doing something wrong. And she was really nice about it. And kind of her response was just I think you're exceptional. I think clients think you're invested. And is it really that people love you, or is it the cringe you have when they love you? That's the problem.
Which is literally what you talk about all the time in your life. Why are people perceiving me? Why are they looking at me? Why are they talking to me?
I get pedestaled a lot.
You do.
A lot.
You do.
You even do it.
Of course I do.
Everyone does it.
I love you.
Yeah, but you do it in a healthy way. Everyone else does it in a she has all the answers, solve my problems. You do that too.
Oh, no. You don't have all the answers. I just really trust your opinion.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So basically what she and I worked through in session, which is she's very boundary. She's very that's in personal therapy. This is here. But we kind of got around to the fact that possibly maybe it might make me feel suffocated when people really like me or bond with me quickly. That quick bonding process is suffocating to me. If I meet somebody and they immediately latch on to me, I want to puke.
But shouldn't that be suffocating for any, I'm not.
But is it suffocating when you're trying to build rapport with clients and they like you? And this is the part, okay, there's 2 things. This is what I told my supervisor. I was like, the black clients who feel like that about me, I feel less weird feelings about it because I feel like it's a cultural thing. You don't trust the medical system. You ran into somebody in the medical system who is something in the medical system who's black, and you feel like you trust them, and so you want me there because you don't trust it. Everyone else, I'm I don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. You think I'm a sucker? I don't know. But
are you from the 80s?
Yes.
A sucker? Who are you?
So anyways, I've just been trying to use like I'm leaning into being exhausted and doing a lot of personal reflection, and what I'm finding out is like I'm a little avoidant sometimes.
You?
I know. Wait, is that surprising?
Yeah.
I think of myself as anxious attached.
Yeah, it's definitely surprising that you're avoidant. You lean into like everything.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I don't know. Avoidant?
I know.
That's what you read that as?
I feel like
Explain
I'm
more.
Well, because what it is.
The reason I just dazed off is because I've just never like attached that. Sorry, I just like lost it. I was like, what?
Well, because there's this piece of me that feels like the safest thing ever is to be alone. Like that is like pinnacle is being alone.
Yeah, that is pretty avoidant.
And what I'm doing when people overattach to me is I'm acting like I don't notice it.
You're like, it's not happening. You're not perceiving me. You're not looking at me. It's not happening. I have to say, I think with clients, yes, I think it can impact you because you're still a human and you're still a person and you're still like, this is inappropriate.
Yeah.
The difference is that as a therapist, you're like, it's actually kind of nice because you have to force this person away from you to teach them like, A, this is boundaries, and B, like you can have like a healthy separation. Like I can separate myself from you and repair with you.
You know what I do? I just pretend I'm busy.
I can't right now. I'm busy. I have paperwork.
I write back and say that. Like I'm just swamped.
But it's different because I feel like you are in constant contact with people and I work more in isolation with my clients.
Well, there's a different intensity to our relationship because it can end when they leave the hospital.
Right.
So it's like this whole moment. Sorry, I'm getting very distracted because I see the comments coming up on the screen, and like the one that keeps throwing me is my grandparents who are in a happier relationship than I'll probably ever be in. So my grandma, she's like holding
They're
him.
so cute.
Awesome.
I was like,
Love
oh my
you,
God, they're
Grams.
so cute.
How are you?
Oh my gosh, no, I have to check in.
Yeah.
I forget this part.
Yeah, you do.
I think every time I forget this part.
Every time.
Every time we do it, I think I'm like, oh, it's my turn now.
You're dreading it.
Every time.
Isn't it so funny that all the skills we ask everybody else to do, we also don't want to use them?
Are you my supervisor?
Well, no, because I was your supervisor, I'd be talking about myself.
LOL. I think, how am I feeling? How am I doing? This week I'm feeling pretty good. I've been feeling, this is kind of stupid. It's not stupid. I'm not going to judge myself.
Rachel, don't talk to yourself like that.
LOL. It's me.
It's you.
Me to me.
You to you.
Me to me. I am feeling proud of myself this week.
I've never heard you say that.
I don't think I've ever said it.
You don't say it.
I don't say it ever.
You don't say it.
I'm feeling proud of myself this week for a very, it's not childish, but it feels childish. I have been tidying my apartment for almost 3 weeks now and keeping it tidy. Today I kind of lost it. But
Today it was clean though. Like
It's
there
clean.
weren't dishes everywhere.
No, it's clean. Usually, I'm a little bit scattered, but I've been keeping it pretty tidy, and that is helping my mental health, I think, and I'm medicated.
You keep saying that.
And being medicated is amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's actually turned my life around, which I forget every time because this is not the first time for me.
Remember when I was like, you're not on meds?
No, literally, she thought this whole time, for the whole last year that I've been like medicated, she was like, wow, you're really fucking suffering.
Yeah, no, when I thought you were medicated and you were doing as bad as you were doing, I was like, she might jump.
She might jump
But now,
out the window.
but now I know.
She was like, oh, she wasn't on meds.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And now I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
pretty nice.
So you're striving. Thriving. I don't know, I said striving. Thriving.
I'm striving for thriving.
Striving for thriving. I'm loving it.
I am not thriving, but
What would thriving look like? You don't even know.
Oh, no. Does anybody know?
Yes. I know exactly what thriving looks like for me.
What does it look like?
It looks like waking up rested and not dreading anything throughout my day. And
Anything? Not one thing. That's a lot.
You can dread like little things, but like not dreading the normal day tasks, like a session or.
Yeah, I'm not thriving yet. But I feel, you know what? I feel pretty good getting out of bed in the morning, and that is a win for me.
That is a win. I don't feel good waking up. I still wake up like, ugh.
But I'm also like, I'm falling asleep really early recently, and so I actually think I'm sleeping pretty well.
That's great.
Yeah, I feel pretty proud of myself.
Because last time we talked about it, you were avoiding bedtime because you just felt like a
Yes.
spinster.
Literally, because I feel like a spinster because I am a spinster.
You said you tuck yourself in, which is sick.
I'm like, this is me. Tucks self in and turns over. I even turn out the TV now. I don't even sleep with the TV on.
Oh my God.
I'm an adult.
Adulting.
If there were an applause, I would love an applause.
Okay, hold on.
Now.
Pause. You were literally dragging yourself through hell because you weren't putting yourself to bed. I want to know if the high is as big as the low. I want to know if you feel equally as proud as you did ashamed, or if you just literally no. So you literally just blew out of proportion because now you're doing it and it's nothing. You literally were like, this is the biggest task last time I talked to you.
It still feels like the biggest task every time. I just can do it more.
Maybe that's why you're not proud, because it's still hard.
Yes, because it
Okay.
doesn't feel easy. Like I still have to like chunk my way through the day, I think.
Okay.
That's true. That is true.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I'm proud of myself for just like feeling like, okay, like I'm doing things, like
Yeah.
I'm managing, like I'm caught up on things. That feels good. But I'm not like ahead. Like I'd like to have a little bit more spaciousness.
Don't we always do that? We catch up to where we said we'd be happy with, and then we move the goalpost.
I don't know if I said this is where I would be happy.
You have told me for the last year you'd be happy not to be in the pits. Yes.
Maybe it's not good enough.
Wow. Moving the goalpost, like I said. Anyway.
Literally playing Tetris with my emotions.
But no, seriously, back to the like dread thing though. It's not that like I think you can be like annoyed or not looking forward to something and that's okay. But like the dread is like you're trying to negotiate with yourself to even go to the thing.
Yes.
That's when I know I'm not doing well. When I'm negotiating with myself to show up to session, or I'm negotiating with myself to go to work, that's when I'm like, okay. But when I'm just like, oh, I really don't want to go to this meeting, but whatever. I'm like, okay, that's like pinnacle.
Okay.
That's a normal
Also, when you say like, I feel like that's like normal human. Like, who wants to go to the meeting anyway?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's what that's the goalpost. You like wake up rested, and you're like, I can manage my day. And there's a couple things today that I'm looking forward to, and everything I'm not looking forward to, I can manage it. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm like, okay, that's kind of pinnacle. And then you can throw some things on top of it. If you really want to make it like peak of the mountain, you like have energy after work. Ooh, now we're really doing it.
What an orgasm. Energy to do what after work?
Whatever you want.
What if it's sit on your couch?
No. You feel pushed to be.
Do you want to think about that answer?
I don't. Would you consider yourself a creative person?
When I'm at my healthiest, I am, I think.
I feel like energy to be curious and like excited about life after work. And that's like could be anything.
Yeah.
It's like if you're on your couch and you're watching a documentary that you couldn't wait to watch, then sure. Mm-hmm. If you're on your couch disassociating to Love is Blind, no.
Or Yellowstone or any of the other myriad comfort shows.
Yes. But like
I'm definitely not watching TV to learn quite. I'm not ready to fill my brain with things.
No, I'm not literally learning,
No,
but I'm saying like something you're excited about, not like, oh, what can I do to fill the next 6 hours before I go to sleep?
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah.
Those are different.
Isn't that a regular adult experience though?
Filling 6 hours?
You get home, you're like, okay, I have to like eat for a couple of these and maybe like do some like
No.
Okay. No, okay. You want to think about that answer?
A normal adult experience is dreading dreading free time? No, free time is the pinnacle of life as an adult. No. That's not a normal free time is like
Ask the peanut gallery.
so yeah, Gabe, what do you think?
I think I'm making your name tag, so I wasn't paying attention for the next segment.
But I was right.
We love a man that does the job.
I was right.
That's right.
No, I think like
What was the question, though? Because now I'm dying to know.
Do you feel like the pinnacle of adulthood is having like copious amounts of free time?
No.
Oh.
She said that she spends time that when she has like 6 hours free after work, that sometimes she feels dread, like, oh my God, how am I going to fill this time up? And I'm saying that I feel the opposite. Like as an adult, when you have free time, it's amazing.
Yes. Yeah, I can't relate. I have 2 children. Like, I just don't have free time. And
Exactly.
when I have it,
Okay.
I don't know what to do with it. So I can relate to what she's saying, actually.
Okay.
Okay, maybe
Only
I'm too
in that I
depressed.
don't get it.
Okay.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I love free time.
Hell yes.
I love free time when I actually have like 6 hours after work feels like I can't do what I want.
And that's why I'm saying the pinnacle is like after work, you have energy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Because
not
you're
that
like
quite yet.
conserving energy.
Yep, that's where I am.
I'm still kind of at that point too. I love it after work now though. But anyways.
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. I really want to talk about Love is Blind because it's the inner toxic in me, and I just like love it.
Let's talk about it.
I like am not toxic in my personal life anymore since being in therapy for so long, and being a therapist.
You're never ever toxic ever.
I work really hard not to be toxic. I work really hard. The most toxic thing I do is triangulate.
Okay.
Which is like basically like if there's basically, I'm not going to go all into it, but the triangle theory is like if you have a relationship with one other person and you feel too anxious in that relationship or there's too much tension, instead of working it out with that person, you bring in a third person, whether that's like talking to them about it or ignoring it with them, or you can bring in like a third activity. I do that pretty often. I do that. Like if you and I were having tension, I'd lean really hard into the podcast. To like avoid dealing with it, or I talk to Patrice about it.
Yeah,
but it's like one of those two things. That's like the most toxic thing I do is I kind of avoid that.
Hey, Patrice.
Kind of avoid that kind of stuff sometimes. So I don't know, but I just like want
Is it still triangulating if you eventually bring it up though? Because you usually eventually bring shit up to me.
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
The triangle's not good or bad; it just exists.
Yeah.
Because there's healthy triangles and there's unhealthy triangles. So, like, let's say the two of you, like you and I, let's say we were married. You and I were married, which Adam says all the time. Let's say you and I were married and we brought in a marriage therapist. That would be a healthy triangle.
Oh.
Because we're bringing someone in to resolve the tension.
Okay.
If I got a mistress, that'd be an unhealthy triangle because I'm breathing someone in to resolve the tension that's not going to solve the problem. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do.
So it's that. Like I think everyone
John
thinks
Gottman.
triangles are all bad, but they're not. They just exist.
They just exist.
It's like when a couple hates each other until they spend all their time talking about their children.
Or to their children.
One or the other. Triangle.
One or the other. Triangle. Ugh.
So anyways, I
triggered.
So glad my parents were never married or together. I seriously, like, it's funny because like younger me, all the kids are probably looking at me like, your parents aren't together, and now I'm looking at all y'all like, I didn't have to go through divorce trauma.
I escaped unscathed from that.
I feel great.
I feel great.
My parents never loved each other. What's up?
They were never together.
They did love each other as people, but you know what I'm saying. I didn't witness all of that. It's better.
It's better.
I think it's better.
That's better than most marriages I've ever heard.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I haven't been impressed by marriage yet.
You haven't been impressed by a single marriage?
Never.
I got one. But that's it.
Okay.
You don't? None?
There are impressive things about certain marriages. I don't think I've ever seen a marriage and been like, oh, gotta have that.
I have a couple.
Nah.
No?
Nah.
Not that I wanted that, but that I was like, oh, that's worth giving up, you know, all of your free time.
That's
and
it. I've never
for.
felt like there's something like that trumps marriage.
What
do you mean?
Actually,
Like, it's not the pinnacle.
singleness.
Yes.
Trump's singleness.
Yes.
Single's better is what you're saying.
I don't know if I won't say it's better. I like relationships, and I like being in relationships. And I don't know, a shitty marriage or a shitty relationship, not even for my, like, in general, that's the fucking pits.
It's the pits.
It's
and then you have to get divorced. Gabe, what were you going to say?
I watched this interview with the divorce attorney that was fascinating. But basically, the guy made the case that, and I mean, he proved it beyond a reasonable doubt to me, but it is that it is statistically a negligent behavior. 56% of marriages get divorces, right? Mm-hmm. And then think of that. That's just ones that get divorced. Mm-hmm. How many are miserable who stay together for the kids?
That,
10%?
I literally, oh my God, you are literally preaching to the choir. People talk about, people used to stay together all the time and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, do you know how many of those people were like in abusive relationships?
You know, it's so funny.
Like, what?
I was going to do it. I was ready to stick in there for as long as...
Same.
Yeah.
Same, yeah, you were. Now you're admitting you were married on the live.
Oops.
Oh
well.
So I had this, my coworker like opened up to me the other day, and I'm like, my inner was like, run. But I was like, no, you actually like her. You've been working here for a year. Or like, you can sit through a conversation. And we actually bonded after the conversation. I was like, okay.
Look at you.
Woo. Well, so you know what it is? People have a lot of positive regard for me. I have a lot of positive regard for them. But they feel like we're bonded, and I don't feel like we're bonded.
You're
so
just
that's
like,
there's
we're
like
just respecting each other.
No, I like them.
Yeah.
But we're just not bonded.
Yeah.
Because I I don't tell them about my life.
Yeah.
It's one way.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid. I don't know why, but I just am.
You also don't have to tell people about your personal life.
You don't. But also there's like, I can talk about my dog and like things like that, like stuff.
Like
that's
something you did for dinner on the weekend.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
it's fine.
Yeah.
But she was like, she was telling me that her mom has bipolar disorder, and she was like, I was like, are your parents still together? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, wow, your dad must really love her. And she was like, no, religion. And I was like, oh. Which I was actually, I love.
She might be your type of person.
I know, I loved her. No, I was literally like, yeah, I love you. But this is why I need to have conversations more. But I was just like, how many people's parents are together because they don't feel okay with divorce? Mm-hmm. I think it's high.
Because they don't feel good with divorce, or like it. I think some people. There's like some interview. We should watch it together. And I forget what it's on, but it's like married people talking about how they would rather just stay married just because they believe in marriage more than anything else. Marriage is like, if there's a pyramid of values, marriage is the top value, and that's okay. There's not like I'm judging a little bit. I don't get it, but.
I do and I don't.
I get it because of cultural context. If you've grown up in a certain way, I don't get it because of my cultural context and because of my
Because your parents have been divorced multiple times?
Twice.
Yeah, each of them?
Twice. But even outside of that, I don't think it should be, I don't know why I would put that relationship at the top.
Yeah.
I get it because of Western values. I get it because of Christianity and how we're all like indoctrinated in these certain ways. I get it because we all like monogamy. I get all that stuff. It's like this. It's like the marriage thing specifically. It's not one relationship. It's just the marriage piece.
I think for me, like specifically, when I think about it, I feel like it's a really fine line because I would push back on that because I would say, like, in order to have a long-term marriage, you have to be with somebody who also believes in marriage because you're probably going to be together for multiple years that aren't great years if you stick it out.
Yes.
And that's how it is in long-term partnership. That's not even a marriage stamp.
Yes.
That's long-term partnership.
Yes.
That's long-term friendship.
Yes.
It's what I'm finding out now that I've had friends for 10 years. I'm like, long-term friendship is also riding the wave with your friends, like different versions of your friends.
Yes.
Which is really beating my ass more than relationships, to be honest.
It's crazy because you realize, like, I've really been in relationship with some people for, like, decades now. That's crazy.
Nuts.
Or a decade. Or more than a decade. Like, that's crazy. And I was like, oh. So when somebody tells me I've never had long-standing relationships, not true. Not true, motherfucker.
Where's the camera? But yeah, I want to talk, speaking of long-standing relationships and marriage, I want to talk about Love is Blind, but I want to preface this by saying that, like, I'm not saying it from a therapist perspective. Like, I'm not going to diagnose anybody with anything. I don't feel like I know enough about anybody on here to give them a diagnosis or to say exactly like what they need to work on in therapy. I'm just like talking as a normal person, a normie, just like saying how I feel. And I just want to throw that out there. I know that production creates stories and all this stuff, but we're going to lean into the story like it's real because
why not?
Because why not?
Can I cut in to ask one thing though? Is it wrong for you to, because I'd be very curious just to know your distant assess, with that disclaimer.
I'm definitely going to assess.
To kind of make like what your indication is. I think it's interesting.
I think we are going to assess. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, we're going to
be messy.
No, exactly. But I think it's okay to like give perspective. I mean, it's whatever. I'm not his therapist, but
it's also things to look for people in their relationship. They're just indicators, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like, some red flags.
Red flags.
So there's so much going on, and we're not done with this show. So where we are in our shooting is they just released the second part last week, and then tomorrow is like the rest of it. I think it's coming out. So
Saturday.
We're on, like, episode 8.
Yes.
Friday. Episode 8 with. And what I really want to talk about is the relationship between Uche and Aaliyah and then the Lydia T. Because
talk about triangulation.
The TV saying it's going to turn off in a minute.
Okay, I'll get it.
Cool. So we were... what was I going to say? So yeah, I want to talk about that. I literally was like, told Rachel, both of us went back and rewatched like all of the scenes that had them in them specifically. Because the first time you watch it, you don't know what's going to happen. And when you rewatch it with knowing what's going to happen,
you're like, oh, this is nefarious. This
is
and
insidious. It's right there.
This is terrible.
It's literally right there.
They're up on the screen.
They are.
Look at them.
I know.
If you had to choose a villain, who's the villain?
Uche.
Yes.
Who's your villain?
Oh, it's Uche.
But if I was Aaliyah, I would be more upset about Lydia than Uche.
Yes, because she is a co-villain. She's Robin to his Batman.
Well, we are so friend-centered
Yes.
So I'm like, a friend not telling you is so different.
Bitch, I was appalled.
Appalled. Okay, so basically, if you don't watch Love is Blind, I don't know what to tell you.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, spoiler alert. Spoiler. Okay.
Go for it.
My inner nerd's coming out. Okay. So if you don't watch it, whatever. But the main thing that like I want to talk about is like the relationship dynamic. So it doesn't really matter if you haven't seen it. We'll like give you context. But basically, I just want to start out by saying like, so they go into these pods, and the goal is at the end of the pods they're gonna come out engaged. They spend like 2 to 3 weeks in there, I think.
It's like spooky town. That's crazy.
They have blind conversations. They call it Love is Blind because you're not supposed to ask any logistics about how that person looks. Also,
nothing.
We're pressuring our friend to go on Love is Blind, so we're not better than this, even though we act like we are.
Go on it.
Go.
On. Go.
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 Easy.
Go.
So they go into these pods. They get like prompts and questions. So like the thought process is, if you're not blinded by like your sexual attraction, like can you just create like emotional intimacy in a pod?
It never works.
It does work.
Who's made it out who wasn't sexually attracted to each other to begin with? Tell me.
Oh,
Go.
not that, but I'm
Into your
saying
head.
no, but I'm saying sexually attracted, like no, you do have to come out attracted, but people do form bonds without knowing what they look like. I'm thinking
yes,
Brett
yes.
and Tiffany.
Yes.
That's like the golden child of Love is Blind.
Agreed.
Brett and
Agreed.
Tiffany.
Yeah.
So basically, like Aaliyah is black, Uche's black, Lydia's Puerto Rican. I don't know if that really matters, but
Afro
like,
Latina.
I think it like just like plays, not the Latina, her being Latina plays into it, but I'm just saying the reason why I said that is because I feel like the black people search each other out in the pods.
Yes.
I feel like they do.
They're like listening to each other. They're like, where's the voice?
Well, and then like Aaliyah,
Uche.
Uche.
She talked about her favorite movie is Love Jones.
Love Jones. Yeah, exactly. So basically what happens is like Uche starts in the pods and he's just straight up interviewing everybody.
Literally.
What was your first impression of Uche? He's a 33-year-old lawyer who owns a tech company.
And
Dude bro to the fullest.
and knows what and like knows it. Like
And knows
brings
it.
that to the table. The first thing I noticed about him is that he brought out a pad and pencil. And I know they all have it. I know that's standard for the show. But he just had it like here. And he was like actively using it. I feel like nobody like actively uses it. So I just noticed that he was like interviewing.
Yep, he's interviewing, which is like, it is what it is. I actually don't have a lot of judgment about that. I just think it's not very emotionally vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. And it's not fun.
No, but he's like interviewing. So
Like, aren't you on a show?
he's
Don't
not
you
going
wanna
off
have fun?
vibes. He's not going off vibes.
He's not going off vibes.
So he's...
The other thing I noticed is he was mirroring people. I know that like we're only focusing on him and Aaliyah and Lydia, but when he was in other dates, he would be like, "Oh, I like that too." And maybe it's like just happens to be coincidence, but like there was just so much that he was like mirroring of being like, "We have so much in common." He said to Aaliyah, like, "We're perfect for each other." And I feel like when somebody says that, it's maybe not a red flag, but it's just like
It's a beige flag. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, you don't know me. Like that, and I know maybe it's like offhanded, but it just is like, it's like a hint.
I actually wrote down to myself that I think part of the reason he hit it off with Aaliyah was she had a good resume. He was interviewing for resumes and she had a good resume. She grew up as like a military brat, so she was like internationally well traveled. And then she was like an ICU nurse and had her own business. So I think like she hit it off. He opened up to her because she had a good interview. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
And they connected over poetry.
Ew. They didn't. They were already connected before the spoken word.
That was the first thing they talked about.
No, it wasn't. No.
Maybe it was like the second or third thing.
Yeah. So then, okay, so basically what happens is they hit it off in the pods, and then he starts presenting as, like, you're my person. I just want to have, like, all this intimacy with you. Like, I want you to be transparent.
I'm like cringing.
I need you to like tell me exactly kind of like.
And he's posing as somebody safe. Like if you're listening to his language and as somebody on the other side, he does sound like.
I love this
I just
question.
want to know.
Somebody asked, is mirroring inherently manipulative or is it ever unconscious?
Yes, it's unconscious. It's not always manipulative.
It's yeah. There's a lot of it that's unconscious, but the problem with it is if you're mirroring that much that I'm noticing it, you don't have a strong sense of self. Mm-hmm. Like, there's something off about it just a little bit. I think mirroring is normal. Mm-hmm. Like, I even notice with clients, like, I will mirror their body language or the verbiage they use.
It's also, like, kind of co-regulating a little bit sometimes.
Yes. So that was
Not
a great
always.
question. So they're like, he's like, open up with me. Like he's using, just like we talked about last time in the last episode, like he's using language that indicates that he's emotionally safe. He's like showing that he has some kind of insight and really wants to know like who she is and like a deep level. Aaliyah's the middle one. Uche's all the way over. And so she's like opens up and they start talking about deal breakers and they both have the exact same deal breaker, which is dishonesty. Why are you sighing?
Because I just that whole scene, he just like teed it up.
Yeah.
He set it up. You could just see him be like, my worst thing the thing that I hate about people is lying. I hate liars. I would never lie. And I also feel like it's just projecting as he like literally lies on the show.
Okay, so
To me, maybe I'm just like ultra sensitive to it, but I just feel like
I hated the dishonesty part.
I hated that.
So they get into that. They both agree that it's dishonesty. And then she's following his social cue. So the social cue that he gave is I'm safe. So she's following it. And she's like having a very human moment. I actually really liked her response. He was like, have you ever lied in a relationship, basically? And her response was, hasn't everyone? And
It's such a childish question. Have you ever lied in a relationship? Who asks that? I'm so sorry. Maybe that's like an evil bitch thing.
pee in the morning?
Do
Like, I don't
pee in the
understand.
morning? What?
Yeah. So, and she's like, yeah. And then he immediately goes to, have you ever cheated? First thing off the bat, which I was like, that's your own personal.
That was your own
something.
personal shit.
That was your shit. That was your shit. And she's like, yes.
Do you ask people that? If they've cheated?
I don't ask people that, but I could
don't ask
see
people
that
that.
being a conversation once
It's
you
not
had
unfair. I'm just
intimacy in the relationship and
Yes.
trust.
Yes.
But they're on the show where
They're
they're
on the
speeding
show.
everything up.
Yes.
So to be fair to them, it's like they're
manufactured.
pushing them to be super open.
Yes. And I think they have prompts for things often.
And he flips on her.
Yes, he flips on her. Like immediately. Like whole body language flips. He just is like sterile.
He's
and
disgusted.
Cold. Yeah, he's disgusted.
Disgusted by her. Flips on her. And then
And before he literally, there's nothing that you could do to change my mind about you. We're walking out of here engaged, blah, 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 blah.
30 seconds earlier.
30 seconds before.
30 seconds earlier. So he flips on her. And then the interesting, I think, like, part about the flipping on her is that his whole issue isn't just that she cheated. It's that after she broke up with him, or they broke up, she never told him that she cheated. And his quote for quote was, you should tell your ex to make yourself an honest person.
This man
That's
doesn't
the most
even know
selfish-
this person.
that's
It's
the
also
most
misogyny
self-
it's so misogyny. He's literally caring about a man he's never met.
Say more.
Has no idea what the fucking situation is. And literally only cares. I'm not saying, like, I'm not absolving whatever it is, but like, I kind of just want to say, grow up.
Well, to me, okay, so to be fair to him,
sounds terrible.
I want to be fair to him. Her excuse was horrendous. Horrendous. Like,
Oh, her excuse was bad.
because basically what she had said was that she
Wasn't getting enough sex in the relationship.
she wasn't getting enough sex or attention in the relationship, which is a horrendous explanation. If someone tells me they cheated prior, what I want to hear from them is that they regret cheating or what they learned from cheating and that they would never do it again. Not, this is why I cheated, this is why I cheated, this is why I cheated. I would have also been turned off by that, to be fair to him. But it was the flip. Like, he immediately was like,
Turned off.
you ain't shit.
You ain't shit, and wanted her to know it.
And wanted her to know it. And then told her to be selfish. Actually, because the reason to tell someone you cheated on them is because you think that's something that they want to know or they deserve to know, not to make yourself an honest person. So I was like, you're all messed up.
He's all messed up.
So they go back to like being, I don't know, good. They like, she walks out of the room, she does the slide down the wall, like,
Upset. Somebody
cry.
like catches
she
her.
literally slides down the wall and holds her friend's hand. I'm not even kidding. Not even kidding.
Not even kidding.
And
sobs, like stumbles into the room, is so upset.
But that to me was a cue that
Yes.
what he said was not right. Because
Yes.
either she's off or he's off. Because that's a big reaction.
He like either cut her deeply emotionally or she's off.
Yeah. So then they like have another thing they make up. They're going good for like the rest of the first section, the first 4 episodes. And then at the very end of the first 4 episodes, he shows up to do the proposal and the producers purposely don't tell him she's left the show so they can get it all on screen. So he's showing up thinking they're about to propose and she dipped on him. She just left. What were your thoughts when that happened?
I thought good for her.
Did you?
It felt too stressful for her. And so she left the show.
Oh, I missed a part. So before that, they go on they have a date or whatever. Oh, my aunt. Hi, Linda. My aunt asked, "What is mirroring?" You want to explain mirroring?
Go for it.
Basically, like, mirroring is like somebody else is doing that and you're doing something similar. You're doing what they're doing in order to bond with them in a relationship. And a lot of people don't do it on purpose. So it's kind of like that thing where people joke, like, if you're in a relationship for a long time, you're like siblings or you become the same person because your behaviors, you
Start to mirror each other.
naturally, humans mimic each other, which is fine when you're bonded and in close relationship. But it's weird when you're coming into interactions and you're mimicking everyone.
It's more weird verbally.
Yes, say more.
Is it just body language?
It's
Or-
verbal.
It is verbal too.
It's verbal.
It's verbal.
Interesting.
But it's
Okay.
weirder. Like, it's more, I think maybe it's not weirder, but it's more off-putting for somebody to maybe mirror you verbally.
Like when white people say, like, "Oh yeah, bet."
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yes.
When I stand around my black friend
Yeah.
and I watch, like, I
Yes.
see that happen, I'm like, oh my god.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Yes. No, literally.
Stand up.
Or like somebody, like, a good example, I see this all the time because I work on an inpatient unit with teenagers, right? And so what ends up happening is, like, a cult forms on the unit. So, like, if kids are there too long, they mirror each other to the point that they're, like,
so creepy.
flipping and swapping personalities because developmentally they don't
That's
have
what
a
they do.
strong sense of who they are. The people in their lives are more important than who they are. That's where they are developmentally, right? So what I'm watching is, like, mirroring to the extreme. So there's, like, maybe there's 2 kids who have an identity that are trans on the unit, and by the the end of the week 7 kids are questioning, right? It's like this mirroring of, like, I'm gonna show up how the other people I want to be close to show up so that we bond. It's not intentional.
Yeah.
It's unintentional.
Yeah.
But so that's like the mirroring concept. So sorry, I skipped along. So they have that little fight, they make up, and then he drops right before the proposals to her, like, your best friend in the pod and I had sex and we weren't together. What did you think when he dropped that? Lydia is her name. She was the left on the screen, the, like, it's comical. Crazy eyes.
My first fucking thought was, I wonder if the producers knew, which obviously now I know that they did. But I was like, there's no way. I don't, that doesn't happen on TV shows. I was like, like, it glitched. Something glitched. Something happened.
That they were there?
Yes. And then I was like, wait, that's too easy. Like, of course they knew that they were there. Somebody knew. Like, that's too easy. That's, like, it's reality television.
Right.
So at first, I don't know if I had a big reaction because in my head, she doesn't know him that well.
Who?
Aaliyah. And then I remembered that they're, like, it's all, like, manufactured feelings and shit. So, like, she feels stronger. But I was like, in the real world, like, that...
In the real world, that's nuts. Are you kidding me?
In the real world, it's nuts. But I don't think it would happen as much.
Well, it wouldn't happen. But, like, think about it like this. So immediately, I actually had an opposite reaction, which is that it's a huge deal. Because I'm imagining that they're spending hours on dates, and she's talking about her experience in the pods.
Yes.
Like, she's literally talking about I guarantee she talked about Lydia multiple times. She was saying things to Uche when
they were
he
talking
told
about
her,
each other.
like, oh, she's like my sister. That's what she was saying. She's like my sister. So
The thing that was crazy to me wasn't that they were on the pods together. It was that they both had the conversation and then didn't tell her.
cool.
That Lydia and Uche didn't tell Aaliyah.
Intentionally.
Yes.
Okay. We're skipping around.
Yes.
But, like, I do think, like, the thing,
got
so the thing
excited.
about it for me that's really upsetting is that, like, if I'm talking to you about somebody, at what point do you drop in there that you know them? Because my best friend and I literally had this. So a guy and I, when I was single, Patrice matched with a guy on Hinge, and then they didn't work out or whatever, but they went far enough that I would not have dated him. And then him and I connected. And when I figured out, like, a couple weeks into talking that, like, he knew that we were connected and he never said anything, I dubbed him immediately. I think that's insane. It's not the connection. Like, I can decide what I want to do with the connection.
Yeah.
But you didn't tell me?
The not telling is nuts.
It's nuts.
No, the not telling is nuts. The not
And
telling is
Lydia?
psychopathic because you're also on TV. Like, my thing is, like, it's literal. Like, it's going to come out. It's like people, like, forget that they're on TV. They're going to show this. I just don't get it. Like, it's like cognitive dissonance to me.
Well, then throughout the first 4 episodes, what really killed me is that anytime Aaliyah and Uche got into an argument, she went to Lydia and cried on her shoulder about it. And Lydia
That was, and
crying.
could you see how the other contestants were looking at them? Like, it was weird.
It was weird.
They were like put off by
That's
it.
for Nina. Sorry.
Yes.
We're live. That's for Neens. But it was like that, like immediate, like, and so that was off to me.
That is off.
One of the things that was like one of the worst red flags to me in this whole entire thing is that Uche's story about Lydia changed 4 times.
Yes. Say more.
4 times.
Say more.
So the first time he tells Aaliyah about Lydia, he says basically that she's wifey. He says word for word, like she's wife material. She has a great heart. He calls her a trustworthy person. Quote.
Some being called wife material has got to be like up there with being called queen, up there with being called like, I don't know. It's up there. It's nasty work.
He calls her a trustworthy person. And then he says at the end, like,
He flips.
basically that he's nice. No, that he's a nice guy. Like, well, she was a great girl. I'm a great guy. But like, my whole heart wasn't in it. And he's literally crying real tears. Being like, I hope she doesn't hate me because I like broke her heart, basically. Second time they talk about it is after Lydia left. After Aaliyah left. So
Yes.
they have this conversation, they make up, supposedly, Aaliyah dips. I was proud of her.
Yes.
I was like, oh,
Yes.
you ran away. Like you didn't know what was
dipped.
wrong with Uche,
She got
but you
out.
knew something was wrong.
She got out.
So she left. He calls her. Of course, the production is like
Messy.
They just like pull him into a room. He
They're like, yeah, we can
literally
call her.
thinks he's gonna propose to her, and they're like, yeah, she's gone. And then he obviously does the normal thing, like, how could I not talk to her? And they're like, do you want to call her?
Messy.
So he calls her. I quote, he calls Lydia just some girl. He goes, how could you ruin our relationship over just some girl? Minimized to nothing. And then as they're going back and forth, he's saying things like, you don't know, think I'm going through this too? You don't think this is weird for me too?
And you can literally tell that he's like flipping. And he also did this with other men on the show, where like he would tell them one part of the story and leave out the other part. Like he's like create. What is that called when you like create something out of thin air? I don't know. Gabe, what is that called?
Like
Manufacturing
his own narrative, yeah.
Conjure something out of thin air. That.
Yes.
Like he just makes it up.
He does. So then third story, and to me, and then we got another, I don't think you can overstate what a massive character flaw it is for that dude to not bring up that he was with the other girl. Absolutely. That was another comment. Absolutely. Because it's just like, again, and she's in denial. So when she finds out about Lydia, Aaliyah's literally in tears. And it's like, that's my sister. Like, I can tell she's putting together how weird Lydia is also, but she can't compute that the guy she thought she was going to marry and her new best friend.
She just like fled.
Are like,
She was like,
off.
I can't take this. Because imagine being in that house with her. And they got into it.
Well, so then what happens is he tells her about what happened. She goes back, like, anyways, it doesn't matter. So then third story. So she leaves the show. Of course, Netflix wants to get their licks. So they're like, you guys can do a lunch in front of the cameras. You want your money or not? So they do their
This is how you make it up since you left early.
Yes. You get your money in front of the cameras. And he goes into this whole entire story about how crazy Lydia is, that she stalked him, and that he stayed with her because she was mentally unstable. That's basically the story. He doesn't use that language.
Which is never the case. Ever. Ever. Ever.
It's sounding too familiar.
In life. It's just never.
I don't know a person who's like, you know what, this girl's crazy. I'm gonna stay with her until she gets a therapist and friends. And that's literally what he said. Once she got into therapy and got friends, I left her. Insane. So that's his.
And he's saying it out loud.
Yes.
It's actually the saying it out loud.
Yes. And then she's
nuts.
like bringing up like, but you clapped cheeks in January. And then she's just like, you know, like, well, he's not acknowledging. He's not acknowledging that he just had sex with her 3 months ago. Which, like, again, it's not about what happened. It's the non-disclosure.
Yes.
It's the non-disclosure that's wild. And I actually don't think you had to disclose at the beginning. But, like, as soon as you realize that Aaliyah and Lydia were connecting, disclosure.
Yes.
Immediate disclosure.
Yes.
So then there's a fourth story that's off.
And yes, you should get sucked into this trash ass show.
Yes. So Lydia is at the so they have this couples events that they're going on with the couples who actually got engaged. Lydia got engaged to somebody else, Milton, and Uche shows up to the event because he wants to talk to her about what happened. And again, there's a fourth version of the story. So we've heard we were both it was an amicable thing basically, or I broke it off with her because I was being nice, or whatever. We heard she's just some girl, she's irrelevant. And then we've heard she stalked me and she's crazy. Fourth story, we see him confront her, and you realize immediately during the confrontation, they're both toxic. She's accusing him of cheating. He's accusing her of going through her phone, her drawers, whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is. You realize that Lydia was significant.
Yes.
He cares about Lydia's opinion.
Yes.
And he's completely sucked in. And so whatever story he was trying to tell.
Liar. It's fucking comical.
And I couldn't stop thinking about how the beginning he punished Aaliyah for being dishonest.
Tried to drag her.
Drug her.
Drug her. Drug her.
Drug her.
Drugged her.
What were your thoughts? Did I miss any of your thoughts?
No.
Okay. And then the other last little thing is he's been posting after.
Yo, that was actually the part that got me, is he's been on Instagram Live and shit, which I didn't actually catch. I actually just Googled it. I was like, what has been happening on post show? And he's still talking about her and doubling down and lying still.
Well, so now when stories, when the sections of episodes comes out, he responds with stories. And so he's responding,
which is literally what narcissists do.
Saying that him and Aaliyah actually did date after the show. So trying to be she don't hate me. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And we kissed.
Yes, and they kiss. And then saying now he's trying to claim that Lydia followed him onto the show and stalked him on, which I believe.
Which maybe is true.
No, it doesn't matter if it's true or not, because Aaliyah literally brought it up and he laughed in her face and called her crazy. He was like, ha 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 ha, you really think that would happen? And now he's claiming it happened.
He's an unstable person.
Unstable.
Staying is not a flex.
And then he said that Lydia knew that they were never serious, which was not at all the tone of their last conversation. The tone of their last conversation was that she felt like she could call him on cheating, which means they were exclusive.
Yes. And that he did cheat. She found things in his drawer that were from other women. So he actually was cheating.
Well, he tried to claim it wasn't cheating. And then he was like, I was honest. And she's like, I had to drag it out of you. And he tried to pull the but I told you.
Triggered.
It's bringing me back to old relationships.
Literally.
All right, I want to end on this, though, about the Love is Blind thing. Why do you think Lydia didn't tell Aaliyah? Why did Lydia keep it a secret? I get why Uche kept it a secret, because Uche was trying to get his and didn't want that, whatever. But why did Lydia? She's with Milton. She's in another relationship. She's supposedly friends with this girl.
You know what I think happened? I think that she tried to go on the show with him. She found out he was going on or something and wanted to go on. She got on, which maybe surprised her. Maybe not, because they probably wanted her on anyway.
She's a baddie.
She's also a baddie. She got on the show, and I think she maybe thought that he, once she told him that they were going to connect again. And, they were going to write it, and, maybe she thought it would be a good story arc, and instead he dubbed her and was like, nah. And so then she was like, what the fuck? And, had created this friendship, and she was, didn't think that they were really going to work out. So she was just being friends and thought that, he was going to double Leah. And so at the last minute, she scrambled and was like, I'm going to be with Milton, and then rode off into the sunset.
You thought he was going to double Leah, and she thought she was going to end up with Uche?
Yeah. I think she thought the whole time she was going to end up with Uche. Or at least make sure he wasn't with anybody else. Mm-hmm. And then ended up, losing him and was like, well, I don't want to be a loser, and tried to get with somebody else, and it worked.
I completely disagree.
Okay, tell me.
I think it's, single white female.
Explain more. For audience purposes.
Oh yeah, for audience. Because you know what I'm talking about. She, wanted to wear her skin.
The boy's a liar.
Because she wanted to, wear her skin. I feel like she wanted to be as close as she possibly could to the relationship and be, ingrained in the relationship by being friends with Aaliyah. That's how I feel.
I think that could be true. I don't know if she's smart enough. I don't know if she's, that maniacal.
She planned to get on the show to get back together, but she's not smart enough to be friends.
But I think
with
that's, basic to me.
Maybe.
That's something that, just a thirsty girl would try and do to,
Maybe.
to cock block her ex, I feel like. And she's messy. She's clearly messy, so she's going to do that shit.
Yeah. But anyways, I just really want to talk about it because I was I'm going to be totally honest, okay? 100% honest. I'm going to say this.
Oh, my gosh.
Everybody online who thinks they wouldn't date Uche, a lot of them would date Uche.
Oh, yeah.
Most people
for
would
sure.
date Uche.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody thinks they're too good for Uche. Most people would date Uche. I think about somebody who has like...
It's actually the white women that have been going crazy for him, and they're the ones that would line up for him.
No, black women would date him.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But like good stats on paper. He has a good job. He's tall. He's in good shape. I think he looks like handsome Squidward. I don't find him attractive.
No, I don't think he's cute. But he
women,
gives to me that he likes white women.
Women love medium ugly, so it doesn't matter anyways.
And he's tall.
Yep.
And muscular.
I think a lot of people would date him because I find myself also being in a relationship with people, not now, but like when I'm dating and all of this, like it's the things he does up front are really annoying. But how many of us have been with somebody where like they're an asshole up front, and as long as they can apologize on the back end, we're all like,
it's
okay.
literally a tale as old as time. It's like when the boy hits you, he likes you. And then when he makes up, that means he really likes you. Because he's fixing it with you.
Yes.
It's so gross.
Yes.
And I do think that a lot of it has to do with like what we hold up as like what a good man is like on paper he looks like a good man. His eyes are way too close together. I agree. Eyes are way too close together. He looks like, I can't even do it on camera, it's gonna hurt. But I feel like that, you know, if you saw him on paper, he owns his own business and he's a lawyer and he has money and he's, you know, cultured and interested in all these things. We're like, oh my gosh, like we just inherently believe he must be a good man.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't.
It doesn't work like that.
It's hard out here though.
It's hard out here for a pimp.
Anyways, I just want to talk about that because I was so...
No, this season, people are dragging this season as being boring outside of that too.
It is boring outside of that.
Like they're the only thing that's good about this season.
I like Milton.
Yeah, but that's just because he's like cute. But although somebody did have a
He
hot
looks like
take,
Steve Harvey, but
he's cuter than Uche.
he's cuter than Uche. He is.
Somebody had a hot
All right,
take.
who's this guy? I got to pull up that
Now you
picture
can look at Milton.
What's it? Milton? All right. I'll pull it
Milton
up.
from Love
You
is
guys keep
Blind.
going.
Milton
Yes.
from Love is Blind.
Yeah.
He, somebody said that because he's like the quiet, nice guy, maybe he's the most toxic.
Milton?
Yeah.
I don't like that take.
You don't like that take? I didn't say I liked it.
He
I
has
just saw it.
BDE. That's what he gives. Like he's like in the background and doesn't care. That's what he gives to me. Or you think he gives desperate? It's one of the two. Because why does he not care that Lydia was crying about Izzy?
See?
You think Milton's?
He looks like Steve Harvey, right?
I think Steve Harvey's better looking, quite frankly.
Oh.
Really? Maybe that's an age thing.
I think it's the age thing. I'm just talking about the Steve
You guys
Harvey
call me
stash.
old because I'm. Hang on, let me see.
No,
I'm gonna
like
put this up.
I'm calling you old because Steve Harvey is like a non-sexual cultural reference. To
No
me.
doubt about it. I'm not saying it.
Steve Harvey's sexiest man alive
Yeah.
on the cover of People.
Yes,
I'm
Milton's not
crying.
attractive. Thank you.
Not
But
at all.
his personality
And
is
he's
very
tall.
forgiving and kind. And he's
Yes,
tall.
and he's kind of nerdy, which is cute.
But like I can't tell if it's like, oh, I just think I'm so great and that's why I'm calm, or like
Yes.
if I'm not picking up on cues and know that like Lydia is off.
I think that he liked that she was hot.
Yeah.
He's
there's
not
Milton.
terrible. That's actually not a bad picture of him. Why are you doing my boy like that? It's actually not even a bad outfit. His outfits were actually worse on the show.
You're
I wasn't
reaching.
commenting on the outfit.
Yeah, you're reaching, Reach.
The outfit isn't bad. He looks like a douche, but
You know
the
how
outfit isn't
ugly you
bad.
have to be to have say the outfit's not bad? That's like saying he has a good personality from the picture.
He looks like someone who can't close his mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's always
Yes.
hanging open.
But the
Yes.
haircut looks better here than it did on the show.
It did.
Oof.
It did. He actually looks more normal on the show because he's like wearing normal clothes and it like kind of looks like he doesn't try. Like that's kind of his vibe. But
Yeah,
I know
here he
is
looks
trying.
kind of Joe Schmo.
Yeah. But anyways, on to the next thing.
I just need an explanation. Uche doesn't look terrible there.
Oh, what?
But in
He's
real life-
handsome Squidward.
I can see that he's a good looking guy, but
No.
his eyes are too close together.
No, he's not good looking. His face. Well, actually, it's his personality. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
But
like that.
he
I'm
went into
smarter
the
than you
pods,
shit.
right? Like you're a lawyer. You probably make money at your tech place. You're tall. You're muscular. You're good looking. Like he knows it. I don't find him to be good looking, but general
knows what he
public,
brings
he
to
would
the
be good
table.
looking. And he's not somebody. If I met like a guy who had a 10 out of 10 personality that looked like that, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's not ugly.
No, he's not ugly.
There's nothing about him
He's
that's
workable.
How about
I'm
with your
cuter, so
guys'
it's okay.
background in therapy and all this stuff, and you're aware of all these things? How much does it really help you when you're in the dating scene, though? Like, I mean, do you kind of revert like everyone else, or do you, you know?
As a therapist,
Well, no,
worse.
more
It's
like as an
worse.
educated person, I guess. Yeah.
You
worse.
see more, but it doesn't mean you're actively doing more necessarily.
Okay, so me and Rachel are very different.
Yeah.
Rachel likes to dissociate,
Yes.
and I like to overanalyze.
Yeah.
So like it's a disservice for me because I'm always future tripping and future projecting on the fact that like I see a red flag and I can like see how it's gonna play out down the line.
And I'm just like, oh, I just want to know. Like, I just like mirror them.
What does disassociating mean in that context?
Like not checking in with how your body actually feels about the experience. I think a lot of
Oh, okay. You just
Yeah.
go along, like along for the ride, kind of.
along for the ride and just like I feel like grateful that it's not weird and that they're not rejecting you
Yes.
but not checking in at all about how you feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, you're just glad it's not weird. But have you ever asked yourself if you like this person? If you want, if like, you know, like, and I feel like, I don't know if that's a gendered thing or not, but women spend a lot of the date wondering how the other person feels about them, not about how they feel about the date.
Yes. And that's half of what I tell a lot of people is like, focus on if you even like them.
Yeah.
Which is hard. It's hard when you're nervous. It's hard when you're out of your
It is.
body. It's hard when you don't know somebody. It's hard when you're like, when you have a lot invested in it. And it is a good reminder just to slow yourself down. Like, do I even like what this person is saying to me?
No, it's really hard. And like,
Hell yes.
I often find that people don't know if they actually like somebody until they're settled in the relationship.
Ugh.
And then they start to like, oh, I didn't even think about if I like them. I just thought about the fact that they look great to me in all these ways. And that's why I feel how I
Yes.
feel. But I haven't really
Yes.
thought about whether or not like we have the same values or like I feel excited when I see them, you know? And I struggle with that a lot with dating because like I kind of feel like an uche. Like I have a lot of personality so I can cover it. But in my head, I'm checklisting. Not checklisting like things that they should be bringing to the table, like on paper, but like see people are saying certain things.
You're making notes.
I'm making
I call it
notes.
making notes. Like you're
Yeah.
noticing.
Yeah,
You're
which isn't
noticing.
the best. So.
Why? I feel like noticing like, hey, like I'm just putting a pin in that to like notice that maybe another time. I'm not like,
I think future tripping is bad. Like inherently, like future tripping is like you're thinking
Oh, you're
about
talking
what
about
could
future
go
tripping.
wrong in the future.
yes.
And so, like for me, somebody's telling me something about their life, or they're saying something that demonstrates they don't have a lot of personal insight, and then I'm future tripping about like how they're going to be as a parent, how they're going to be in a long-term relationship. And I think a lot of that you actually just have to watch it play out. You
Yeah.
don't know,
You can't
therapist or
know.
not.
Yeah.
Why is that bad though? Like, I mean, to me,
Because
that's
you're
like
not looking at
eyes
what's
open.
because you're not looking at what's in front of you. You're not looking at the present, and
Because you
you're
don't
not
know how they're going to show
and
up.
you don't know.
You don't know. I think
don't
like
know.
you're guarded, but I don't think you can. I don't think you can rush the process. Like I don't think being well informed rushes the process. Like I think you just have to see how people show up for you during life events.
It's like you trying to cover your bases before the bases have been shown.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I just want to round the bases.
yes,
Is there-
Literally, just go to all the bases, please.
yes.
Are you guys more apt to try to fix a broken guy who's really handsome, whatever? You know what I mean?
I want to say not anymore, but we'll see. TBD.
So to be honest, I was a fixer. I was a blah blah blah, and then I was in a serious relationship for 4 years, and then I was with him, and he overdosed and died. So now I'm like, you know what?
I'm not
Projects are
fixing
trauma.
Shit.
Yeah,
I'm not
projects are
fixing
trauma.
shit.
So I definitely was like a project gal before, but now I'm not. I'm really trying to like harp on the like if that person isn't where, like if where we are now isn't sustainable, then don't do it. Because what I'm realizing, which is so immature before, but what I'm realizing is like men don't want to be fixed.
Yeah.
Like it also feels bad to be with somebody who feels like you're a project
And who wants to
feels
fix you.
like,
It feels shitty.
you know, oh, they're gonna love me when I'm this. Nobody
Right.
likes that.
Nobody likes that feeling.
Everyone hates that.
Exactly.
It's a horrible feeling.
Right. And that's how you fall into being somebody's mother.
Yes. Speaking of mothers, parenting, whatever, you and I were talking about this week, and I wanted to bring it up, is like all the parents that I work with who like so they're parents who have been divorced or separated or whatever, and they compare their kid to the parent they hate. It happens a lot. Like a mom will be separated from a dad, and then when the kid's misbehaving, they'll be like, "You're just like your dad. You're just like your blah blah blah." I wanted to ask you, because you have divorced parents.
Yes.
Did that happen to you?
Yes. Both my parents have like done that historically, and maybe not historically too. And I think, people think it's like a common thing. It's like kind of saying, well, that's not true. to somebody, even though that's technically gaslighting, but it's so basic, then it doesn't get picked up like you're just like this or that. And I think as a kid, you just take it as truth. It's just Bible.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. And then as you get over it, you said this really well, I think, but it's essentially like you were married to this person and had a relationship to this person. They harmed you in a way that as a child, I could never harm you. So there's no way I could actually impact you the same way that this ex or this so-and-so has harmed you. There's no way. And my personality is both of y'all, to be honest.
Well, to me, it's so interesting because I feel like when you don't have malicious feeling toward the other parent, there's no problem being like, oh, you're just like your dad or just like your mom. But I see these parents a lot of the time where they're like, I fucking hate your dad.
Yes.
And then they're like, you're just like your dad.
You're manipulative.
And they
like your
don't
dad.
understand why that's causing harm. They're like, the mom's like, well, I love everything about you but this thing.
It also like intensifies it for the kid because I think children, in general, see themselves as extensions of their parents. And so if you say something is intrinsic to a parent that you also have, I think you internalize it as being something intrinsic to yourself. Your dad is like this and you're like this. Well, my dad's like this, so it's something I'm always going to struggle with. That might not even be a thing that's that much a part of your personality. Your mom is just fucking pissed at you.
It's so interesting you said that because it really hit the nail on the head because, like, for me, like, my dad was an alcoholic. And growing up, I, like, kind of weirdly created this story in my head when I was, like, in middle school and early high school. Like, oh, am I supposed to have this fear about being an alcoholic or, like, have this alcoholism or, like, he was kind of not a nice person. I have a fear about being not a nice person, right? Like, I notice a lot. It's, like, what you said really hit for me of like that feeling like who your parents are is also who you are. Like when you're younger, you can't separate it.
Yeah.
And I literally see that with children. Like, well, my dad's bad, so am I bad? My dad's a pedo.
I had that thought.
Am I going to be a pedo?
Not
Like,
the pedo
I'd
thought,
see that.
but yes.
No, yeah.
No, I think because my dad was shady. My dad did like shady shit with women or did shady shit with money. And I think
The phone stuff is wild.
the phone stuff is wild, but I think that he would say things like, we're just alike, or your mom doesn't like it that you're just like me, and would kind of flip it in that way. And that also, at the time, it felt good, right? We're like, it's like camaraderie, or I feel like I'm in on something with him.
Yeah.
And this was when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it also can have, like, parents want that with you sometimes. They want you to see themselves in you. They want you to take on these things because it makes them feel seen or something like that. I don't know.
I love that because that is like the reverse, right? Like the reverse is like, I'm rejecting you. There's like,
We're being rejected because of this in us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then your mom's like, I'm rejecting you for this. And your dad's like, well, I love you for this.
Yes.
And then you have this like internal splitting going
Yes,
on. That's what
exactly.
yeah.
He
But-
gets me so much
fucking
more.
me up back here, by the way. So much. It's insane. You make me re-examine all my parenting. I have, oh my God. You guys are going to have to stick around another hour after this now and pick me
We
up
can
off
do
the
that. We can get a drink.
Jesus Christ.
No, but it is that feeling, right? Of like that internal, just like, I have been working with a lot of different families in inpatient where like one of the parents is trying to cut contact with the kid with the other parent, right? Like, let's say there's a parent who's like been in a domestic violence situation, right? Or there's a parent who the other parent they find that the parent's unsafe or abusing that kid emotionally or whatever their perspective is on that thing, right? And it's towing such a hard line because it's like you want to tell that kid, hey, it's not about you and you don't need to take care of that parent.
But kids don't know that.
They don't know that. And if you say that parent is bad, they can't tell the difference between that
Me
parent
and
is
them.
bad and I'm bad.
Because and that's developmentally appropriate. They're supposed to feel that connected to their parents. You're supposed to kind of, I think at least, it's supposed to feel like, except for when it goes badly.
Right. Absolutely. So I don't know. I was just thinking about that because
I love that. I don't love it, but I love talking.
I don't
about
have
it.
like divorced parents, but you do. And there's this interesting like dynamic I feel like for you because your parents have been divorced for so long that like
Since I
their
was
life
7.
their lives aren't intertwined,
No.
but they can coexist.
They very much so can coexist. I wouldn't say that they're friends, but they are very friendly. Like my
Your
dad.
dad would be her friend.
I don't know. I think he says he would. He wouldn't really. I don't know if he knows how. But I think that it sounds good. And, we'll do things like, my mom and I will go on a trip and my dad takes us to the airport or picks us up or he'll pop over for lunch or things. But they're not really talking outside of maybe hanging out with me or hanging out with my brother, things like that. They still vacation together with us sometimes, like if we meet up places. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like for my brother's graduation, like we all flew out and like hoteled together and ate and like hung out together, but we're not like, hey, let's go to this place together.
Yeah, I just, I feel like too there's this space of feeling like there's a fine line between disagreeing with the other parent and like trashing the other parent. And I think that's where people struggle. Yes. Like you can hold that you don't agree with the other parent without trashing them.
Yes. You have to remember that in your kid's eyes, it feels personal if you're attacking their mom or their dad or even a sibling sometimes. It feels like if you're asking them to split, you're asking them to choose you or choose them, even if you're saying you're not. They don't know that. They feel like they have to choose, even internally, I think.
What's very interesting is that my mom had a better... my mom thought more highly of my dad than I did for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So when I would talk shitty about my dad, my mom would defend him, which is a very interesting aspect to be in because it's kind of opposite, but I think it plays into like they were never they were together as children. I count like under 20 as kids. They were together as children, but like not adults, right? And like she defends him and I feel resentful about it. Yeah. So it's just funny because it's like, again, it's that personal aspect, but the other way. Like, how dare you tell me what my relationship is? Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, I don't know.
It's unintentionally maybe a little bit invalidating of your experience with him. Unintentionally. And I know and maybe that's too strong, but it's just, it's like.
No, it's not invalidating as much as it's like, I think that there's a lot of addiction on my dad's side of the family, including with my dad, right? And there's these narratives with addiction that like the person's behavior is because of their addiction, and I struggle with that. I think that intention matters. I think people act out of character when they're dealing with addiction, right? Like it's not so much the lying and like the manipulating to me as much as it's like the causing physical harm to other people. But so like it's just interesting because it just. Either way it goes, it feels very personal. It's like a lose-lose.
Yes, I agree.
It's like a lose-lose.
It's a lose-lose, for sure.
I don't know. This week, I was, like, scrambling because I had 6, like, in-person hours that I needed to do for licensure. Oh. To renew my license. I'm, like, missing my CEU hours. So I have a little side hustle where I go on PESI, which is, like, a place that does CEUs. Yeah. And I, like, go on. I've been doing this. This isn't, like, a new thing. But, like, they have all these trainings that are, like, hundreds of dollars. And I wait until, like, the day or two before the training's supposed to start. And then, like, if they haven't been bought out all the way, they have, like, free for its promotional because they want people to show up. Wow. So I've been saying, like, ADHD brain, like, the millennial therapist. Like, I've been all of them. I'm just like, boo. Because they also record them for 2 weeks. So I've just been watching them. So I did one that I waited this week. And I was like, I need to... Being smart. I need to do like I need 6 more CEUs. So I picked like pregnancy and infant loss. Nice. CEU because it was free by the time. It was like a $400 one. That was free by the time. They didn't make me pay because I wanted the certificate. They made me pay $50 for the certificate, but that's pretty cheap for 6 hours.
That's very good.
That's very good.
Very good.
Very good. That's very good. I was like, I'll pay my little $50. I love that. That's fine. But in this, she was just talking about like how to work with people who have like pregnancy and infant loss and what that looks like and all these different variations. But she brought up this concept that I thought was super interesting, which is the concept of like a reproductive story. Have you ever heard that? No. So it's the framework and she's like a therapist who works specifically with reproductive loss, grief and trauma. So she has like a very whatever.
I have heard of this.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's a reproductive story. And basically it's that from like the time we were small children, we form a story in our head about like how
we were made.
No, what our reproductive journey is going to look like from a very young age.
I don't know what this is.
So like, she did a really good job of explaining it. So when you're like 5 to 10 or whatever, maybe you're like, I'm going to have 20 kids. That's the beginning of your reproductive story, starting to think about what your family is going to look like in the real world. And then as you get older, maybe into adolescence, which they would consider to be like 13 to some people would say even 25. But like then you start to kind of work through your reproductive story. But it's the notion that all of us have a vision of what we want reproductively in our entire lives. And I never thought about that, but it's so true. Like,
It's so true.
Whether it's like, I don't want kids, or it manifests, she's like, a lot of it is like, I either I don't want kids or I want like 15 kids. And then you like show up in adolescence and you're different. You're like, okay, maybe you want 2 kids.
Yes.
Or maybe you want no kids, but if I
Yeah.
meet the right person, right?
Right.
Like you start to manifest this story. And that a lot of the issues with like pregnancy and infant loss is like, it doesn't match our reproductive story.
Yeah.
So we've been telling...
It's not what was supposed to happen.
No, we've been telling ourselves a story, or our client has been telling themselves a story the entire life. And one of the bases of that story is that once I get pregnant, 9 to 10 months later, I'm going to have a baby.
I will have
And that
a
is
baby.
not the experience of a lot of people.
Of most women.
No, not most.
I
It's
heard
like 20%.
I heard it's a really large number of women who have to try multiple times or have a hard time getting pregnant. No?
I don't know. I just know what the miscarriage rates
Okay.
are. I don't
Oh,
know what it is.
okay.
Like the older you are, the higher the miscarriage rate goes up.
Yes, for
Like
sure.
I think once you're like up to 40, it's like 50%
yes.
or something.
Yes.
But it was just a really interesting concept because I've never thought about the fact that I've been like planning my like future and my identity as a human through like reproduction for my entire life. But I have. Like I think back to being 5 or 6 and being like, I'm gonna have 2 babies and their names are gonna be Levi and Star. And like I'm gonna have a house. And I'm not even kidding. And like treating clients, like how do you have a conversation with someone about like it's not just that you can't get pregnant, it's also that you lost part of your identity when you
Yes.
couldn't get pregnant.
Yes.
Because your identity was like, I'm a person who can reproduce.
Yes. Especially like so much specifically as I think as like a woman, like your whole personhood is supposed to have a baby. You're like,
Yeah.
this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what my body is made to do, which sure. And it doesn't have to be your whole story. That how devastating is that? I can't
Horrible. Horrible. The other thing I learned that was super cool is she was talking about treating clients who are struggling with like a loss of a miscarriage, like a medical abortion or a regular abortion, whatever, right? Molar pregnancy, ectopic pregnancy, whatever you can think of, right? But like this notion that like not every pregnancy you lose is traumatic. So what you're doing as a clinician is you're trying to parse through with the client if what they're experiencing is grief, trauma, or both. And I thought that was so cool.
I love that specifically because it's just so validating for me because not everything is trauma.
Right. And she was kind of like, it's pretty invalidating to show up in space and assume that that abortion
Was
or that
traumatic.
miscarriage was traumatic. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know that, right?
Yes.
And like the difference between whether it will get better with time or not is whether you're experiencing grief or trauma.
Yes.
So your grief will get better with time.
Yes.
And, but like, if it's trauma, it won't.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yes.
that thought process. And I just
Yes.
found that to be so interesting.
I just like that because it shows both experiences. And I feel like you don't ever get the experience of loss without it necessarily being a trauma or deeply even impactful sometimes.
She brought up the concept, which isn't like radical, but it was exciting to me. She brought up the concept of like relief. Like some people have a miscarriage and they feel relief.
They're like, "Whew, thank
Some people
God."
have an abortion and they feel relief. And so like
Yes.
coming into this assumptive place that it's
Yes.
traumatic is very invalidating for clients.
Oh, I love that.
Don't you? I was like, I
love
love when I
that.
go to a trauma and I learn something. I knew I
Yes.
was going to learn something because the way she was talking about humans was hitting my soul.
Yes.
The way she was talking
I
about
want to
humans.
watch this.
Yeah, you can. I
should.
still have 2 weeks
Yeah, I
where
want
I can
to.
see it. I'll send it to
No,
you.
I want to.
Yeah. But also, now I just gave my hustle to everybody, but there you go. It's literally like
just gave
3-day trainings, like literally for free.
Literally need it.
Well, and it's like only if you're interested in the thing.
It's only, yes.
But I just thought it was so interesting. And I just thought, like, a lot of us know how we're feeling, but we don't have language to talk
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
That's like the problem. And so getting language as a clinician is like everything because I can give that language to other people.
Oh, it's so empowering. It's my favorite thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can use this to explain this thing in session. It's just the best feeling.
It is.
It's
It
the best
truly
feeling.
is. It
yes.
is.
I like that feeling.
So yeah, I don't know. I just like this week was good. It just felt like although I was exhausted, I felt like I was having growth in so many areas that it felt filling.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like, okay, I'm pushing through this, but it's for a reason.
And I think for the both of us, we really like learning. Like when learning is good, we both really like what it feels like to be filled up by learning. Like that's a top-notch feeling.
It is, and that's why it's like, as much as I want to be entertaining on this, I like want to pass knowledge along. It's kind of the same with the therapy I do. It's like, I want you to have personal insight, but I want you to leave this with knowledge. I want you to feel like
you are gaining something. Even if you're not happier, you have deeper meaning of yourself. You have more language to talk about yourself.
Absolutely.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
It's already 10:30. We did it. All right. We did it. We're out. I feel proud. Do you feel proud?
I can't wait to do this again in 2 weeks.
I know. I'm so excited.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Can they hear us still?
They can hear you.